Okay, guys, coming down to the wire on the Redheaded Stepchild. Notice we have nice, shiny, brand new Ferrea valves. They are right out of the package and they are tested. First thing you're going to notice is what a beautiful pattern on that chamber. That's tough to beat. Much less speckles all around. And a nice pattern on the bore. Okay, not bad in the bowl, not bad in the chamber. The valves, which are gorgeous by the way. Looks good, right? They are reduced stems, and our exhaust has actually got quite a bit of a tulip. We should probably compare the valves we have been testing versus these as far as shape and flow. Alright, that's our textured 202 that I basically used from all the testing since we began. You can tell because it has a wear mark on the stem. Okay. And I noticed that on the very first flow we did on these heads. Completely stock, they flowed a lot, and I was like, wow, that's really good. I didn't realize that it just barely sat on the edge of the 45, which gives us a nice venturi and actually increased our flow. Now we can compare one to the other as far as shape of the valve, right? Very flat. Versus this one, not as flat. Notice how high the margin is on the Ferrea. One of my favorite things about the Ferrea. This basically has no margin, and it has a little bit of an angle cut on this side. Sometimes that angle actually helps as far as flow. It also makes the edge of the valve a little more susceptible to overheating. So this valve was tested exactly as it comes out of the box. Let's compare our exhaust valves. Okay, this is an older Manley, I believe. You can see the shape, very much flat nailhead style valve. Much more of a tulip. Notice how much higher the margin is on this. This one does have a rounded edge. Okay, that face has got a rounded edge on it. This is a notably lighter valve. It's not really going to be a problem with this engine. Okay, I should show you down its throat. Looks pretty darn good. You can see it following right up to the chamber. Nice pattern. Sorry guys, I forgot if I mentioned this. I've been told I'm getting senile at a high rate of speed. Oh well, can't win them all. You know what my friend says, right? Game over, I win. Alright, take a quick look at the huge difference of the back cut. Okay? My textured valve has a pretty darn wide back cut, and it goes basically right up to the seat. Now, I haven't taken the Ferrea and lapped it in, but I'm willing to bet there's quite a bit of 45 before the seat hits. Good to know when you take a look at our flows. Okay, now the textured valve is the one we did a ton of testing with, but our last test where I changed the depression from 28 to 35, I use this valve. This is a straight stem 202, and we're going to compare those flows to the Ferrea flows. Now, okay, very flat valve. I believe this is a Manley. Hard to see, it's so old. Very thin margin, and it does have a bit of an angle at the edge. Okay, I believe those are my old bow tie valves. Okay, look at this one again. Definitely has a bit more of a tulip. And notice how much different the seats are and the back cut. Okay? There is a lot less metal towards the edge of this than this design. Okay, let's compare some numbers. Okay, guys, what we got is, this is the 28 to 35, so we're going to be looking at these flows and these swirls. Okay, this is exact same port number 1. The only thing we did is we changed to a Ferrea. How'd we do? Plus, 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 minus, 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 minus. Not quite as happy at our higher lifts, but it fattened up our entire curve. Now, we were doing better before at like 300 with the 194 seat and the 202 valve, which isn't really going to work. Now, you have to remember, I still have a very tight throat ratio on this. It's only about an 83% throat. So, depending upon what the owner says, those will stay that way, or we'll open that throat a little bit more. As far as I'm concerned, we still have more than enough to get the job done. Okay? Now, what I think all these pluses will do is it's going to give, because it's more efficient at the lower lifts, it's going to give that a little bit more of a tug at the lower lifts, which is going to be important on a TPI because we have such long runners to accelerate the air through. Just my opinion, means absolutely nothing. Let's take a look at our swirls. This is what we had. This is what we have. Now, I see mistakes on here. Let's take a look. All right, I made a mistake on the last one. But if we take a look at our pluses and minuses here in reference to these, minus, 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 plus, 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 27, 3,000, way more than enough. That will change when we put the intake manifold on. We put the intake manifold on, our swirl went down. So we're good. Nothing to complain about there. I actually prefer a little bit fatter curve in here and lose a few CFM up top. If you think about how much time we're going to be in this area versus this area, I prefer it that way. Okay, I should have made a note. I believe these air speeds were at 35 inches. I should have made a note, but I didn't. So we'll just take a look at our air speeds by themselves. Okay? 350 at the top, still fast. 300 at the bottom. Be nice to even them up. Like I said multiple times before, we haven't touched the dividing wall between that. We could give it a little more area at the roof, not a problem. Nice and even from side to side on the roof. I think it's a little bit lower than last time we saw a 202, but it's a different shaped valve. Take a look at this. This is tough to beat. 393, 392, almost 400. It's fast, but it's a street motor, guys. Okay, we want the efficiency where we got these pluses and minuses. That's where we really want the efficiency. More than our peaks. Okay, 260 is more than we need to get the job done. Okay, now let me see if I can find a flow sheet and we'll go over our exhaust. Okay, guys. Sorry, I got some scribbles out. I grabbed the wrong exhaust port. I want to make sure I compare exhaust port number 1 to exhaust port number 1. Okay, this is a 1.6 rounded edge versus our Ferrea. So these pluses and minuses are in reference to these at this point. How'd we do? Minus, minus, N means noise, N means noise, N means noise, N means noise. We have more noise in this area. Okay? Minus, minus, plus, minus, plus, 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 minus, minus, minus. Now our minuses up top are very small. 204 to 202. Okay? 203 to 200.4. As far as putting a pipe on it, plus plus, 230 at 600. That's killer. Remember, it's got an 80% throat, tiny little throat. That's one of the reasons I did the throat experiment on the throttle body injection heads. Okay. So, I'm not thrilled with this noise, okay? Not happy with that. The rest of the curve is damn good. Especially if you figure how small that port is. It's actually very good. Let's take a look at our airspeeds. Okay, these airspeeds are at 600 lift. And we actually did a little bit better on the rounded edge old valve. Okay. All right, we got a slight loss on these. Loss, plus, plus. A little bit better on our dead spot. Minus, minus, plus. More even side to side than here, right? 280, 250, 246, 288. All right. Actually, more of a discrepancy. A little better in the direct middle. It's hit or miss, really. It's hit or miss. Okay, the question is it worth changing our throat radius to try to get rid of that bit of noise we have? We have 4 lifts of noise, okay? This is also going to be during our blowdown. You really don't want to have a lot of turbulence going on your blowdown. Something to think about. All right, guys. I think I bored you enough for one day. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good night.